Thank you, Chair. Madam Pierce, let me start off like the other members in commending especially the team from Manchester in their response right after the hurricane. But I have a few little issues that I think that if it is, and I think it's really just how it is that we operate as one entity, including the members of parliament. Because in an emergency, I find that the members of parliament are left out. And it's not just your agencies, basically right across government, as part of the response to constituents in our case. And we are generally the first respondent on the ground, ourselves and the councillors. And I find that even in the distribution of care packages, the members of parliament before, we got a pre-hurricane set of resources which could not have been even dealt with until after the hurricane. And even then, there weren't any entities for us to purchase anything. But then, as a member of parliament, and when I asked the ministry for assistance, we were told that they're not going to be going through the members of parliament. Yeah? And then when we are the ones that are on the ground, having the Ministry of Labour not having the human resources, because you had persons who were affected, who works with the ministry, but was not able to respond in a timely manner in many cases. And this is going to be a recommendation that I'm making through the chairman, really, because even when we're asking for information on persons who have received, because then, you have Ministry of Labour giving, you have the JDF giving, you have the members of parliament giving, so that there's not a duplication that one household is getting more than the other. The response is that there's a Data Protection Act, and I understand that, and that those names cannot be shared with us. And I see myself as a part of government itself. Right? Yeah, right? But we have to find a way, and OPM is here, that in the matter of an emergency like this, that there may have to be some suspension of the Data Protection Act. Because I can tell you that it happened in the hurricane prior to this, where more than one person in a household got a grant, a cash grant. I know of one who said that her daughter and her son got out of one household. They didn't use the money for what it was intended for. One said that she took a vacation with the $150,000 that she got. Yeah? But in this instance now, I can guarantee that there are going to be one person in a household getting from you and another one getting from the member of parliament. And I want to know if it is the policy of the Ministry of Labour that whenever you're giving out those food packages during a time like a hurricane or any emergency, flooding, if it is that the policy is that members of parliament are not able, or the councillors or whoever, to receive packages to be able to assist in the process. Because we started out that they can't give it to us too, because the TRN and name had to be given. I hear a person saying that is not so, but it is so. It is what we experienced. Is that the policy that members of parliament are not to be a part of?
That's a tricky one, member. But as someone who participated in the development and piloting of the National Disaster Risk Management Act, the members of parliament are part of the parish disaster committee, and you can confirm that members of parliament are part of that committee.
Yeah.
All right, and so that is the base. That's the base, and they're supposed to be active in their parish disaster committees. And in the parish disaster committees, there are several other entities: the local authorities, the humanitarian groups, the MLSS, and other MDAs that are part of that. They have a key role, and part of that role is in the coordination, part of the referral as well. And if they have identified persons who need the assistance, we expect the members of parliament to indicate. The MLSS being the government entity that provides the direct relief may not have all the resources that are necessary to give to all members of parliament. But as far as I know, where members of parliament have indicated that there is a need that has not yet been addressed, especially in this hurricane post-Melissa situation, there are some areas that we would not have reached, MLSS would not have reached. And that's why we had to use the JDF to support us to scale up, right? And so even if outside of that, where they are giving the support, and MPs have identified that there are persons who need the support, the ministry try to assist as much as possible with the resources that we have.
Yes, it sounds great, but it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work. I'll give you an example. The section of my constituency that got the worst damage, I am heading into that area. I have neither resources from central government, nothing to carry. I had to hire a vehicle. Thanks to Ministry of Labour, I got a couple mattresses. But then I could not get any food packages unless representatives from the Ministry of Labour was able to carry them. No, I'm just telling you what is the reality out there. You are saying one thing that we should be. Even when the JDF is coming into my own constituency, I was not notified. I could be a part of the advice of where to go because we have already gone to that area. So you need to go to another area. But where in all of that, I become enough, make me sometimes get to direct it other way. But where in all of this response is the member of parliament? Because we are generally hearing by the way and not being the first response. And the only time that you ask me for information is unless you can't get the information yourself. And that should not be our role only.
I agree. But, and even post-Melissa, we've encouraged the ministry representatives to reach out to the MPs to say that we are in this area. And I know that has been happening. Sometimes the difficulty was with the connectivity, not reaching the MPs, or just trying to respond as quickly as possible based on the emergency and the need.
I'm going to give you an example. The minister is coming to Northwest, border of Northwest and Northeast Manchester. Gave me a time to meet him in a particular community. When I drove into the community waiting on him, there was a helicopter on the ground offloading. When the minister told me he was bringing packages to give out, when I called the minister to ask him if he knew of, he didn't. Hold on. Now they're going to be distributing to persons within that community. That community kept on getting, and they kept on coming there for days, nearly a week, to that particular community, when there are others that have not gotten touched at all. It wasn't until week 2 that I was even asked any question. And it is because I said to them, don't come in here until you have a conversation, because we would have given, others would have given, and there are others that are not getting. The greater point that I'm making is that Melissa has taught us a lot of lessons. And it cannot be business as usual. And if we're going to be efficient, because the resources are not great, then we can't keep on doing things the same way for a different result. And I'm just asking that as the elected representative, that whenever you're going in, because there are too many duplications some getting more than others and some not getting at all. And when I talk about join up government, we're getting the resources from Ministry of Housing. They can't get cash, but they have to go to the hardware.
While Ministry of Labour is giving
Ministry of Labour is giving a cash grant. And those same people, when you don't share the name with me, may spend it, some may spend it on other things, but they turn up at my office for housing assistance.
Well, on that point, member, the information that has been shared with the Ministry of Housing, where they would have provided a grant, they are to share that information with us.
No,
so we wouldn't have that duplication.
No. The duplication is you give a cash grant. That's fine. Not to the same person that I give to. That person doesn't use a cash grant for the intended purpose, which happens. But then next month, that person turns up at MP Bunting's office asking for housing assistance. That's a duplication because you gave it for an intended purpose. I'm just saying we need to look at it differently if it is for the intended purpose, because you hold us MPs at a different rule, but you do a different one, which is what you're trying to avoid the MP from doing. Yeah. So I'm just saying, look at it differently.
We have looked at it, and in going forward, as I said, tomorrow, where they will have the launch of the program, more will be said in terms of the conditions that persons will have to meet in utilizing some of the cash grants that would be provided.
But separately from the cash grants, PS, it seems that over time, we have evolved into a kind of hybrid model where in the immediate aftermath or at the time of the disaster, MPs, elected officials are in the front line, and we do whatever we can to help. We can't sustain it because we don't have staff. I mean, we either have to fund it out of our own pockets or get volunteers and so on, which you can sustain for the immediate recovery. And then you need to transition into a better resourced agency like SDC or so on. But I think this has sort of evolved in practice, but I don't think it's documented. So MPs sort of end up feeling in a only semi-legitimate role.
Thank you very much.
In terms of the operation, when I think we are really on the front line in the immediate aftermath. Some of us are out there even before the breeze stopped blowing.
Yeah.
So I think just in terms of, this is not a criticism, but as we go through these experiences more often,
which is what
we need to.
Which is what we are looking at. As a matter of fact, some of the lessons we have learned in Beryl, we would have documented those, and we're just implementing when we were hit by Melissa. So Melissa has even taught us more, because then this is a category 5, which we've never had. And then the scale of response and the mechanisms and so forth certainly will have to be looked at going forward. So we appreciate it.
And also with the time frame, I don't know if it is that you're waiting until you gather all the names for those who have been damaged, but the time frame in response, and I'm speaking on behalf of those who have been affected. it has been raining in Manchester possibly
Almost
every
every
week since the hurricane.
Yeah.
And to expect those persons to still, and I mean, they went through the Christmas without any roofs. Even some that we are helping through what has been given to us or to our constituency through Ministry of Housing. I mean, we had to recraft some of them because they just couldn't wait. Some took loans, some had to find some creative way.
They go zinc bush.
Yeah, because there was just nothing. And I think the response time, instead of us making these grand announcements and PR thing, get the people in a state that they can feel normal again. Because it is miserable out there when an individual, after months, still can't put a roof over his head or anything at all.
Well made. I think we have to move on. We have two final questions from Mr. Clark and Ms. Burchell.